black sky.
Greetings from Kiev. My name is Dmytro Antoniuk. I am part of Black Sky team, and this is our regular digest of the articles that we have in the past week. So we will start with a very interesting interview done by Svitlana Myalik with an expert, Olga Kosharna, about Chernobyl. And I used to be a tour guide in Chernobyl zone, so for me personally, this is a really very interesting topic. So the name of this interview is Chernobyl 40 years later, new threats in times of war. 40 years after the disaster at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, the site is again a major concern because of Russia's war against Ukraine. In 2022, Russian forces occupied this area, and later drone attacks damaged the new safe confinement built over the old reactor. Nuclear expert Olga Kosharna says the main danger is radioactive dust. About 4.1 tons of dangerous material remain under the old shelter. If the structure is badly damaged, this dust could spread outside the exclusion zone and create serious health risks. She explains that the old shelter was never designed for war. It was built after the 1986 accident as a temporary solution. Even though the new arch protects it, missile or drone strikes could still damage the site. Repair work is difficult and very expensive. Kosharna also says Russia is using nuclear sites as political pressure. This is visible not only at Chernobyl, but also at the occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the biggest actually in Europe, where military activity continues and the risk of an accident remains. According to her, the International Atomic Energy Agency can only observe and report problems. It has very limited power to stop violations. At the same time, many international nuclear safety rules were created for peacetime and do not fully address military attacks. Kosharna says the biggest current risk is a direct strike on Chernobyl's protective structures or fuel storage facilities. This would not cause another 1986 scale disaster, but it could still lead to a serious radioactive accident affecting parts of Ukraine and possibly other countries. And I also can add that many of my previous tourists from many countries, including Poland and other US, for instance, asked me whether it is possible to go now to Chernobyl as a tourist. Unfortunately, it's not, because the site, as this article says, was occupied, and afterwards it was not demined. So there still is a danger of mines, and also a danger of nearby Belarus, unfortunately. So we have to wait until our victory, and then, of course, you all are very, very welcome. So the next article is done by Artur, and it's about the recent parade in Moscow. Some of you may have seen some extras from those from that parade, and Artur dives deeper into this subject, and the article is named "The Anatomy of Ritual Emptiness: the exhaustion of the Russian army during the 2026 parade. This piece says that preparations for Moscow May 9, 2026 parade show pressure and weakness rather than confidence. Even before the parade, the clearest sign was that there would not be a column of tanks and other heavy military vehicles. In 2021, the parade had about 12,000 soldiers and 196 vehicles, whereas in 2026, about 7,000 soldiers and no heavy equipment at all. The author says that this is not only because of the danger of Ukrainian strikes. It also shows that Russia cannot easily spare military equipment for display. Many modern tanks and missile systems are either being used in the war or are too important to risk. The article also notes that Moscow was heavily protected before the parade. According to OSINT information, more than 130 air defense positions were set up around the city, along with communication limits and possible airport restrictions. So it makes Moscow the mostly heavily defended city in the world nowadays. This made the parade look more like a security operation rather than a celebration. Another important point is that the war is no longer far away from many Russians. Strikes and alerts in places like Cheboksary and Perm show that attacks can reach deep inside Russia now. This piece also mentions foreign guests such as Kasim Jomart Tokayev and Shavkat Mirziyoyev, but Artur says their presence does not change the bigger picture. Russia is still strong and dangerous, unfortunately, but it is becoming harder for the Kremlin to show the same image of power and control as before. The next piece is again by Artur Jacques. Now we will go to Africa from Russia, which is no longer Europe. So it's about Mali, and it's called Mali exposes the weakness of the Russian model of power in Africa. This article examines the serious crisis that began in late April 2026 in Mali. Coordinated attacks hit military targets near Bamako and in the north of the country. Soon after, the Russian African Corps withdrew from Kidal, and the death of Defense Minister Sadio Kamara was confirmed. This piece says that this does not mean the fall of the regime of Assimi Goïta or the end of Russian influence in Africa, but it does show an important weakness in Moscow's strategy. Russia can help friendly military governments stay in power, but it is becoming less able to guarantee control over territory and long-term stability. This article also notes that the Azawad Liberation Front and Group for the Support of Islam and Muslims cooperated tactically against the government and Russian forces, though they really remain different movements with different goals. The main conclusion is that Mali has become a serious test for Russia's model of influence. Moscow helped the junta survive politically, but recent events show that it is much harder for Russia to deliver real security and lasting control. And the last one for today is again by Svitlana Myalik, and it is about the tasks for Ukrainian government concerning our future elections, whether it is possible at all right now, and how it is going to be. So it is called Elections After Victory: How Ukraine Plans to Ensure Citizens' Voting Rights and What Legislative Changes Are Expected. Svitlana explains how Ukraine is preparing for possible elections after the war. A special working group in the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, Ukrainian parliament, is preparing new election rules for the post-war period. The main idea is that elections cannot be organized very quickly. Even though some politicians mentioned 60, 90 days after a peace agreement, experts say that at least 6 months will be needed to prepare it properly. The biggest challenge is how to allow everyone to vote. This includes soldiers, internally displaced people, residents of recently liberated areas, and millions of Ukrainians living abroad. For Ukrainians outside the country, the likely plan is active registration through online services such as DIA, and not through consular registration. This piece also says that online voting and voting by mail are not seen as realistic for the first post-war elections. Experts believe these methods would need testing first and could create doubts about legitimacy of the results. Another important point is security, of course. Voting may not be possible in some dangerous or recently deoccupied areas. According to this piece, the main goal is not to hold elections everywhere at any cost, but to make sure the elections are free, fair, and safe. So to make it short, we have to wait until our victory, and then we can arrange proper elections, because right now, during this phase of war, it is doubtful, and it is plain impossible. Okay, so this is it for today. Again, my name is Dmytro Antoniuk. I am part of Black Sky team. Please stay tuned for our resources and channel, and see you next time. Bye-bye.